There has to be some common sense.
Yes, sir. They have the car stopped at 10th and Ranch, Michael Byler.
We still don't know who pulled the trigger.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, Bill Cannon, retired sergeant, 27-year veteran of the NYPD. Happy Sunday to everyone. Glad to see all you guys here again today. This case is like, it's so interesting, yet there's so many questions that we want answers to. And so far, we're not getting the answers to our questions. And I had said in yesterday's episode, I like to call it yesterday's little adventure, that so much of this right now is dependent upon the investigation. What are the results of the internal investigation? And so far, nothing. That's where the answer is going to come from, the internal investigation. And it's obvious to everyone listening. It's obvious to everyone doing podcasts. It's obvious to anyone that has half a brain that this was an inside job, but it's not being reported as such. Like, it's as if we are idiots, that we're supposed to believe that all of this was just happenstance, that this just occurred. This just happened, and everything went in the favor of the inmate, not the two professional correctional officers. We're supposed to believe that. But guess what? I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. Latifa Ajabadi. Hello, how are you? I hope I said your name correctly. Latifa Ajabadi. Welcome to the show. You guys, someone wrote me the kindest message. I believe it was on Messenger. I'm going to read it to you, and it's from Patty Frickenstein, who happens to now be a police officer. Sergeant Cannon, I worked in corrections for over 10 years, and I am currently a police officer in Wisconsin. There's something you guys haven't mentioned on your show that 100% proves the Lopez escape was an inside job. This incident was clearly well planned. The gold rule of inmate transport is you never tell the inmate any details regarding transports so that they cannot plan ambushes or escape. This is standard policy and procedure in all correctional institutions. In order for Lopez to plan this whole thing, a staff member had to share a lot of specific details regarding this transport. Details like the bus, the location, the route, the time and date. I thought I'd share this gem with you since it might be a good point of conversation on your next show. And he says, I love the show. You guys are awesome. I work nights, so I listen to you while on patrol. Thanks for your service and stay safe. Patty Frickenstein, thank you so much for that gem. That is great. I'm by no means a correctional expert, by no means. However, I am an investigative expert. And when I see this caper and all the things that happen in here, and we're supposed to think, oh my God, that inmate is so smart. No, maybe something happened. Tia-Decipher Podcast. I like the name of that. I could agree with you more on this case. Your input is greatly appreciated. I've been enjoying your shows immensely. At Police Off the Cuff, thank you so much. I really appreciate all the kind words of you guys. And the fact that on a Sunday afternoon, here you are, you're listening to me. And you're spending some time with me on a Sunday afternoon. Thank you so much. So guys, now, where the question is, where do we go from here? Okay. Clearly, he's not in that 5 square area that they've been hanging their Texas Stetson hats on for the last 10 days. Now, Thursday was 7 days, Friday 8, Saturday 9. This is day number 10. Okay. Number 10. So do you believe he's in that 5 square mile area? Do you believe that? Does anyone believe it? Anyone listening to that? Let me know. George Oy, Lopez has outsmart Texas law enforcement, FBI, U.S. Marshals, and Homeland Security. This man will have a movie made about him in the near future, probably starring Vin Diesel. Wow, you already have the movie cast. That's sort of funny that you already have it cast. Vin Diesel's going to be the star, you know. Kerry Hawks, he's in Mexico, guaranteed. You guys even know where he escaped to. That's amazing, you know. So they're using, apparently, you know, they're using all kinds of different methodology to search for this guy, but I never hear the word investigation unless on Robert Hurst, the public, I call him the public misinformation director for the Department of Corrections because he's not very truthful. He doesn't sound very truthful. Every word out of his mouth, I question. And when he talks about the investigation, he talks about it as if it's not very important. He even declared the two correction officers, he declared both of them heroes before we know anything about the investigation. So he declared them heroes. Okay. Uh, Kerry Hawks. Wow, no one ever pronounced my name correctly the first time. Wow, I don't want to give myself credit, but I was a teacher for years and I had to pronounce a lot of different types of names. And sometimes I did okay. And sometimes you learn a lot about the derivation of names and how names are pronounced. So maybe I just got lucky, but thank you so much. Uh, so you know, where are we going now with this? What's the next steps? And you know, I don't think they give us much confidence, especially this guy Robert Hurst. He seems like I don't know. Remember the Baghdad Bob during the Iraqi war? He was giving all kinds of misinformation that the U.S. forces were being beaten back by the Iraqi. For everything he said was a lie. This guy reminds me of Baghdad Bob. Maybe not as bad, but it was something like that.
We're now 9 days into the extensive search for escaped Texas inmate Gonzalo Lopez, who has been on the run since last Thursday. And today, authorities finally opened up Highway 7, and residents are now able to move freely, and they've now entered phase 2 of this search, expanding past their perimeter. Earlier today, the Texas Department of Criminal Justice announced that the search for escaped Texas inmate Gonzalo Lopez is now entering an expanded phase past Leon County. NPIO Robert Hurst says a part of personnel will remain in Leon County, conducting strategic searches of the area outside their original secured perimeter. With help of Texas Rangers and U.S. Marshals, they say they are leaving no stone unturned as they follow leads and track Lopez's whereabouts. Now, some severe weather is expected to hit Leon County this weekend, but Hurst says they will not call off the search just because of rain and that they will continue to be out here. With gear coming from a Walmart in Tyler, Texas, they will have over 5,000 ponchos. So Hurst says they will be ready. Still 9 days into the search, they are switching up their strategy by going into this next phase, expanding past their perimeter. But the hunt won't stop until Lopez is back in custody. And with Highway 7 back open for residents to move freely throughout the highway, the reward is still set at $50,000 for any information that will lead to Lopez's arrest and conviction. And authorities are urging again to people that Lopez is a dangerous man and they should not engage with him if they see him, but to call 911 immediately. And again, folks, I know this is a stressful situation and a tiring process on everyone who is watching and who's out here in Leon County, but we want you all to know that we are going to continue to come out here day after day to continue to bring you updates, even though I know many of you have been saying that it feels as though the updates haven't necessarily been anything new, but this investigation is fluid, and we want you to know that we are going to continue to ask and get updates because it's affecting the people that are still in this community in Leon County. With this search now being statewide, we're going to continue to ask those questions. So just bear with us, folks. Some more updates will come, and we'll keep you updated as the latest developments. Sarah Wilson reporting.
Folks, I apologize for the low sound of that audio. I had it up to the maximum. However, it just was not playing very loud. Sometimes that's the nature of this. But basically, what she said, I'll reiterate it. It was that um, she was saying that they've expanded the search. Inclement weather is coming, and they're not going to stop the search. Imagine they stop the search because of rain. We're going to stop this search because we don't want to get wet, and the ponchos really won't keep us dry, and we're susceptible to the sniffles. So we're going to discontinue this search for this desperado murderer who escaped from this prison and stabbed a correction officer. We're going to wait till the sun shines because that's just the way we roll. You know, how ridiculous. So we're supposed to be happy that they're going to continue the search through the rain. Even the postman delivers in the rain. Neither snow nor rain nor sleet of night stays the postman from his appointed rounds. Wow. Can't believe I remembered that. You know, it's pretty good. uh, Carolini. For one, big city departments have giant PR operations covering their ample screw ups. Other jurisdictions have less expert media spinners. So the big city, good, everybody else bad. Troop falls. Carolini. Yeah, I agree. You know, but you know something? Spin it that we can believe it. It's not even believe. You know, I don't know how many times he said that. Oh, we believe he's in this. We believe that he's in this 5-mile contained area. We have information that he. All of a sudden, he eats his words. He says, "Well, we now have information that he may have gotten out of that 5-mile perimeter." It's pathetic. And again, they do not talk about the investigation. Why are you not talking about the investigation? That's one of the most important things. I want to know, did they in fact fire those shots that they claim to have fired? Were their guns checked to see how many rounds they fired? All of these things are very important. Supposedly he shot out the wheels of the bus. I'd like to see the pictures of that. Can we see the tires of that bus to see if that actually happened? Because I think that there's a lot of things that people don't trust. You know, we don't trust that they're telling the truth. You know, and if I lived in Texas, I'd be demanding the truth. Wait a minute, that's bull. Wait, you know, the witnesses. The lady's name was Melanie Tipperman. She had the video of the guy running across the field, and apparently they weren't interested in seeing it. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? That's not going towards our narrative. We don't like the narrative of him running across the field as an officer was there that did nothing. We don't like that narrative.
Authorities believe convicted murderer Gonzalo Lopez is not in that wooded area of Texas that they have been combing through day after day for more than a week now. Last Thursday, Lopez somehow got out of his shackles, cut through a metal barrier, and then stabbed the bus driver, the officer. A bystander even caught him running away on video with police standing nearby. Take a look. Yo, we saw the inmate. Oh my God. What the heck? He's in the woods.
You see that? They told that officer standing there, hey, I'm going to play that back.
Yo, we saw the inmate. Oh my God. What the heck? He's in the woods.
There he is. He's standing there right there. And we don't even, you know, one of the things that we mentioned that I know Duty Ron mentioned it on the show, where is his gun? Where's his gun belt? He seems rather nonchalant, just standing there watching an inmate run across the field.
Well, he was in the woods. This violent escape ignited a massive search spanning more than 100 miles. Authorities creating a perimeter, and then they started to close in. But despite helicopters, horses, canine teams, and daily assurance from authorities that Lopez was hiding in that area, they now say they are expanding that search outside of the original area, and he has not been seen. And that means a highly dangerous criminal tonight is still on the run and out there, and he could be anywhere by now. Authorities believe Lopez has ties to the Mexican mafia. He was found guilty of capital murder, killing a person with a pickaxe, and also accused of.
You know, that's the thing they keep repeating over and over again. Of course, it's important to show what a desperado this guy was, someone that could kill someone with a pickaxe. That's a special kind of crazy, you know, to kill someone with a pickaxe. But that also underlines the fact of how dangerous he is to the public.
Aggravated assault. He is accused of opening fire at that deputy sheriff as well, and he is serving life in prison when he got away last week. I want to bring in former FBI agent Jennifer Coffendorfer. She's been following this case very closely. As always, good to see you. So the longer he's gone, harder to catch?
Absolutely, Marnie. The longer he's gone, it's really just like any criminal case. The longer they drag out evidence And the ability to find them becomes less and less because it gets further and further out of where they are looking.
Everyone understands why they focused on the area around the bus immediately after his escape, because that's where he was. But as the days started to drag on, people started to question, why aren't they looking anywhere else? Well, a week later, they are, in fact. Are you surprised that they didn't start that sooner, given the fact that he's got these ties to the Mexican mafia?
I am a little surprised. I think it was normal that they created this large perimeter and searched within that perimeter, thinking that he was on foot and acting alone. But because of his ties to the Mexican mafia, arguably the most dangerous criminal street gang in the United States and prison gang. They operate both within and outside the walls. I truly believe this was completely planned and staged, and he possibly had help.
Right, and probably a getaway car, right? So he was able to get out of that area well before they were able to set up the perimeter.
You know, folks, here you have it again. Here's Miss Koffendorfer. I forget her first name. She's a former FBI agent. Again, commenting on the fact that this looks like an inside job. He had help. So what are they missing in the Texas Bureau of Corrections? What don't they understand about the investigative part of this? And they're going to still sell that whole thing. We believe he's in that goddamn 5-mile perimeter. Well, guess what? We extended the perimeter because he may not be in that perimeter. You know, so it took them 10 days to decide that.
Paperclip that he had secreted somewhere, maybe under his tongue or in his mouth. He planned it maybe with a guard that he felt did a less, good of a job to search him. He used that and got out, and he planned exactly where he wanted that to happen at a precise point. And I would say he probably had somebody standing by that was going to meet him and get him out of that area. I just think that's a very strong.
You know, Bob Cosmic in the chat, of course it's an inside job. I think we can expect a letter in the mail from him saying he's home with his family chilling. Yeah, he's going to send a postcard back to the prison with him sunning himself in Puerto Vallarta or something like that, you know. Amazing.
Jennifer, I want to go back to this piece of video early on in the search that caught my attention and a lot of others as well, of the woman and her son who are driving by in that car, and then they spot him just moments after the bus crashes. He's running off into a cow pasture. Let's play that for folks at home, and then pay special attention to law enforcement who she alerts that she sees him running away.
Yo, we saw the inmate.
Oh my God.
What the heck?
He's in the woods.
Look at that guy. What is his function in life? You know, shouldn't maybe he be on the radio calling for all, 1013, which is an emergency call in New York City, all units to this area. Let's seal off this area. It seems like he's walking to church. I don't know what he's doing.
So what stands out to you here? I mean, you can see him, then you see law enforcement. They're within proximity. They have a lot of manpower there. What really comes to the surface for you?
I guess just the fact that somebody didn't take off after him. I don't know exactly their.
Amen. Amen. Here, she's an FBI agent. Even the FBI, who are basically more office workers than street cops, she's even saying she was surprised that no one took off running after him. Exactly.
Manpower configuration at that time. They did have a bus also full of inmates. So there were several factors to consider. But I'm quite surprised that two of them did not take off on foot as fast as they could after him. So they're not in the situation they're in now.
Right. I mean, and it's difficult to second guess at this point, but we're asking all of the questions a week later because he's still out there, and the threat to the public is severe, given his violent criminal past. What is your message to people out there? Is he the type that probably is long gone, or could he be a real risk to the general public as he tries to hide?
Well, I think you have to really look at both of those factors and say he definitely could still be a huge consideration to be a danger to the public in that area. In other words, if he comes upon a house, he could try to enter it to get food, to get a cell phone. He could try to take over a car. So anyone and everyone in the general public in that area needs to definitely be on the lookout and be aware of their surroundings. But I truly do believe he had help. I base that on the fact they have not found him and on the fact that he is tied to the Mexican mafia, well-organized group, and that he had help escaping that area.
Jennifer, we have been speaking early on with the Texas Department of Corrections as they were leading this investigation, and I want to play here a soundbite from Rob.
You know, that's another thing. If this is an inside job, is the Texas Department of Corrections the people who should be investigating this, or should perhaps an outside agency like the Attorney General's office be investigating this? Because this smells. This is dirty. So can this Department of Correction, can they investigate themselves? That, I guess, is my question. Because this is ugly. Perhaps the attorney, maybe the FBI, maybe the federal marshals should investigate this, because this is not okay.
Robert Hurst, early on as they're conducting this search, about how he was able to, one, get out of his shackles and handcuffs and then get through that partition on the bus. Take a listen.
Another officer who was in the back of the bus who quickly and heroically
See, there he is right away. He's anointing them and appointing them heroes. He does not even know what happened other than what the Department of Corrections is reporting happened. And he's appointing them heroes already. And he has no clue, this guy.
smartly decided to shoot out the back tires of the bus as it was driving down the highway. He had gotten out of the back of the bus through the emergency door, shot out the tires. Lopez then lost control of the bus.
So the thing I want to point out here is that Robert Hurst and others have said that this criminal is crafty and he had done this before. So he had escaped, eluded authorities.
You know, he's done this before. More of a reason that the security they had on him was an absolute joke. Two correction officers for 16 inmates. They're all dangerous guys. No chase car, no video camera on the bus. Please, this is pathetic.
For about 9 days. So knowing that, I asked Robert Hurst on the air, was he searched before he got on that corrections bus in transport? And he said all of them had been searched. So I guess I don't understand how he could have gotten away and done this with two officers on the bus, given his past that they knew about.
Well, one of the ways is that knife could have been planted on the bus where he was told where it was going to be. So perhaps he didn't have the knife on him when he got on the bus. It was planted somewhere on the bus and he was told where it was. That's part of the inside job.
Well, typically, these prisoners are, in fact, strip searched before they're allowed to leave on a bus setting like this. But remember, these criminals are very smart and savvy. To secrete a paperclip in your mouth underneath the gum in some fashion would not be impossible. And depending on the guard that did the search, maybe they just overlooked it. They weren't on their game that day. And that led to him having a device that he could use to undo the handcuffs and the leg shackles.
But doing that is one thing, but how do you get through the partition? They haven't released what he had with him, that one, he could get through the partition to the officer, and two, what he stabbed the officer with in the hand.
Well, in prison, they make amazing what they call shanks and other devices from metal and so on and so forth that they have on site there at the prison, and other things that are smuggled in. So my belief is that he had probably a shank and some other sharp object that he was used to penetrate that window, get across to that guard, and stab him.
Folks, I'm hearing some of you having problems hearing the video sound. I just turned it up. Is it okay now? Let me know. I'll put a 1 in the chat if it's okay now.
And I do believe that it was smart that the other guard incapacitated that bus by shooting the tires so he couldn't take the bus any further. But still, he was able to escape on foot, and no one ran
White, I know you've been following.
You know, folks, I'm sorry. People are telling me that they weren't hearing this video very well in the previous video. I have I'll have to check the audio. But I had the audio turned all the way up. I'll have to just check it right now. And okay. How you guys hearing it now? Is the sound okay now? I know you saying you weren't hearing the ladies. That could just be the video coming from the videos. I want to just talk a little bit about again what everyone's saying, that this is a inside job, and it just seems like to the normal everyday person, it sounds ridiculous that this is anything but an inside job, and yet they stayed for at least 7 days. For at least 7 days, they stayed on the fact that they were just searching the perimeter of that 5-mile perimeter. It's baffling. You know, it's baffling, and I would think that the U.S. Marshals are heavily involved in this. And if they were running this, you would have the most competent federal agency that searches for prisoners and escaped inmates leading the charge. I don't know if they are in fact the lead agency involved here, and I know that the FBI is also involved. This is no joke. You know, if this guy's a killer, and now, you know, the chances are that he's out of this country, that he's potentially in Mexico. You know, he could be anywhere, but potentially he's in Mexico. And now how are they going to find him? You see something, say something, media, get his picture out there. Folks, this is Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. If you like this show, please go on our YouTube. It's free. Hit the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. Ring that bell. If you want to support us, you could go on our Patreon. We have 3 different levels. And we also have a YouTube channel memberships with 5 different levels. You can support us on that. You see the folks in the chat with the green font. They're part of our YouTube family. And those folks have been supporting us. They've been staying with us, watching Police Off the Cuff. Well, we're going a little past 3 years now, but we've all actually only been on YouTube for about a year and a half. So we're picking it up. We just hit 28,000 subscribers yesterday. We're hoping to keep growing quickly, fastly with your help, and giving you some great content out there. I'm going to play a little bit of Ashley Banfield. I love Ashley Banfield. I think she speaks. And let me know how the sound is on this once I start playing it.
Remind you how this guy escaped, because that in itself tells you how dangerous and desperate he is. Number 1, he somehow had a shank in the bus, the prison bus. Number 2, he somehow got out of his cuffs on the prison bus. Number 3, he somehow used that shank to cut open a hole in the divider between him and the driver. And number 4, he somehow got through that hole with a deputy in the back who had a shotgun, unnoticed, and then stabbed the driver in the chest and the hand. And from there, the ensuing fight allowed him to get that bus and crash it and run. Joining me now is Callahan Walsh, who, along with his dad, John Walsh, is co-host of Investigation Discovery's In Pursuit with John Walsh, streaming now on Discovery Plus. Callahan, you know, this guy, just the escape alone is unbelievably frightening, just how desperate, dangerous, and ruthless he is. But then you go back to what he did. You know, the reason he was serving 2 life terms, he kidnapped a guy, and when he didn't get the ransom he wanted, he stabbed him with a pickaxe and killed him. And then he shot at a sheriff's deputy, fully intending to kill him. This is about as dangerous as they come, because when they're desperate like this, anybody who gets in their way or anybody who can serve their purpose is expendable.
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen what this guy's been capable of in the past. We've seen what he did just recently to escape. And we know he has no intentions of going back to prison. So anybody out there that gets in this guy's way, for sure, he will harm them to get away, to keep eluding law enforcement, to stay on the run. You know, I think it's a matter of time until he's caught. But this guy is a dangerous, dangerous individual until he is. And the public should be on the lookout.
So look, you and your dad do this for a living, and you've probably seen manhunts in Texas before. at this time of the year, I think the high today was like 96. How long can you really stay out there? He didn't have much, right? He had a white prison jumper. He had that shank, which I assume he probably still has, and nothing else. So how long do you think he could feasibly stay out there and survive?
Well, it's interesting because while the escape seems very premeditated, who knows if he had any idea where he was getting out at? And so did he have resources in the area? Did he know where he was going to make his escape and had anybody in that area waiting for him, providing him with those resources? Because if he didn't, it's going to be very difficult for him just to stay alive in that kind of heat. I mean, I know I'm in Florida right now and it's hot as heck here. And to be out there without any resources, without water, in this heat, it's very difficult for any individual, especially if he's on foot trying to make his escape. I know they're focusing in on this 5-mile radius area, but an individual can walk 3 to 4 miles per hour. So just a couple of hours, he's outside that area already if he is making that escape. But again, it'd be very difficult in that type of heat. Maybe that's why they're focusing on the area, because they know he just can't get that far if he's really expending that much energy.
Well, that was the other question I had. They've narrowed it down to a 5-square-mile radius, but I mean, isn't it possible he commandeered a car and he's got someone hostage and he used that car, maybe killed that person, or maybe stole a car that someone hasn't noticed yet and got a lot farther away than this image?
It's very possible, and we see that all the time in these type of escapes. They're trying to put as much distance between them and where they made that escape as possible, and getting their hands on a vehicle is the number one way to do that. And again, this guy is dangerous as all, and he will hurt and harm somebody to get into that vehicle. So it's all very likely if he's not in that 5-mile radius, it's because he's carjacked or he's been able to steal a car. So the reason they're focusing on that 5-mile radius area is really interesting to me. Either they have some insider knowledge that they know this guy is right there within that 5 miles. But if that's the case, why haven't they caught him yet? Why is...
Folks, we've conjectured on all of this stuff. Why is he still in that 5-mile perimeter? And I think as of yesterday, they've agreed to the fact that potentially he's not. So they've expanded the search, which they really should have done earlier, because they had really as far as we know, no solid information that he was still in that 5-mile perimeter that they focused upon. And there's certain investigative things you do when there is a 5-mile perimeter. Of course, you should probably search every single house in that perimeter. And of course, keep good records so you know where you search, so you're not wasting your time going back and searching a home that's already been searched. Speaking to all the people that live there, how about hunting homes and vacation homes that are unoccupied? Yes, I think that you could probably get the permission of the owner to search that to make sure there's no one laying up in their house. Once you've conducted all of those searches in that 5-mile perimeter of every building possible, then you can move on outside that perimeter. Jonathan Booth, too easy to call it an inside job. Shank was probably boofed, put paperclip to release cuffs, and guitar string to cut too small metal. Very easy while leaving a facility, much harder on re-entry. Jonathan, something, I have to disagree with you. I investigated murders for 10 years, and 16 years I was in the detective bureau as a sergeant. This smells inside job from minute one, and there's so many reasons that this is an inside job, and there's too many things that went in the favor of the inmate over trained correction officers that smell and scream inside jobs. So, Jonathan Booth, thank you for your comments, but I have to disagree with you. Brad R. Lopez is in good shape. Look at the guts on the cops. Hot weather isn't going to stop Lopez. Well, he also has the reason to it's a life or death for him. If he gets caught, he goes back to prison for life. So he's motivated more than the correction officers are. Lisa Mounts, do they think he's not in the 5-mile area anymore because cars have been reported stolen and home broken into, and they don't bother telling us? Well, according to yesterday, they expanded the perimeter outside that 5-mile area. So that would indicate to me that they think that there's a good possibility that he's no longer in that area. So that's indicative of them finally admitting that, oh yes, there's a good possibility he's not in that file. Let's hear from Robert Hurst here. We haven't heard from him yet on this show, so let's hear from him again. Hear what he has to say.
Here we go. The search continues for 46-year-old Gonzalo Lopez here in West Leon County. Want to give a physical description of him again while you're also showing his wanted poster. He is a Hispanic male, 6 feet tall, 190 pounds, bald. He's been missing since last Thursday a week ago, when
he's not missing. He's an escaped prisoner.
He escaped from a transport bus that was on its way from Gatesville to Huntsville for him to go to a medical appointment. He is a very dangerous man. He is serving double life sentences for attempted capital murder and capital murder. Both of those cases from 2004 and 2005. The case in 2004, the attempted capital murder case, was when he shot at a police officer, a sheriff's deputy in Webb County. And then the case in 2005 for the capital murder is when he killed.
Phil Leo, I like that comment. The perimeter needs to be expanded to Cancun, even though Hearst doesn't want to hear it. Yeah, I agree. I think that he could be anywhere. He didn't necessarily go to Mexico, but the water was close by. So if he got to the water, that could have been the plan too. Get on a boat and we'll take you by water. It's easier to get away by sea than it is by land. That's for sure.
Kidnapped a man, demanded a ransom. The ransom was not paid. And when the ransom was not paid, he killed the man with a pickaxe. So he is a very dangerous man. If anybody knows where he is, please contact local law enforcement. Let the authorities deal with him. Do not try and deal with him yourself. He is someone who is very, very dangerous. Let me go down a couple of things here since we're going into the weekend. There's going to be a lot of folks traveling, and we need to stress that Highway 7 westbound out of Centerville will remain closed until Gonzalo Lopez is located. So if anybody's planning on traveling westbound or eastbound on Highway 7, either out of Centerville or coming into Centerville, they will not be able to do so because the Department of Public Safety has shut down Highway 7. It has been shut down during the duration of this search. It will continue to be shut down. So if you could please get the word out to anybody that is traveling, Highway 7 is not going to be available. There's a lot of homeowners that might have a weekend home. They may not be here during the week. So if they're not here during the week and they're thinking that they might be going to their weekend getaway out here in Western Leon County, please check with authorities to see if you can get into the area for your weekend plans. You may not be able to. And if for some reason you do have to get into that area, please check with the authorities here in Leon County to see if they can give you access into that area. This is a closed off area right now because of the perimeter that we've set up searching for Gonzalo Lopez. So want to stress that. We also want to stress again to the homeowners that do live in this area, please remain very vigilant. Keep an eye out for anything that might be suspicious on your property. If there's anything that you think is out of sorts, don't hesitate to contact the authorities. Let us know about it so that we can go out there and investigate and see if there's anything that might lead us to his capture. Got severe weather that's coming into this area or predicted to come into this area this weekend. We are making contingency plans right now for our officers out in the field. One of the things that we're preparing for with the bad weather is obviously the proper clothing that they'll need to have, ponchos, rain gear, other things so that they can stay protected. We're not going to pull off of this search just because of bad weather. We'll continue searching for him. But there will be things that we'll have to do to make do because of the bad weather. Want to thank Walmart in Tyler. Walmart in Tyler has donated 5,000 ponchos for our officers out in the field. They didn't have to do that. We've got the resources at the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, but the Walmart in Tyler has done that. We thank them very much for what they've done. Also, there have been numerous businesses in the area, again, that didn't have to do what they did. They've come forward with donations of food and water for our officers in the field. Again, we have the resources for this, but these businesses in the area, they've taken it upon themselves to come forward with those donations to show their support for what the officers are doing out here in the field. We thank them very much for what they're doing. It shows that everybody's on the same page and everybody wants to get this man in custody. Again, want to stress, $50,000 reward. There's a $50,000 reward for any information that's going to lead to his arrest and conviction. If anybody knows where Gonzalo Lopez is, do not hesitate to call your local law enforcement agency. Let them know. Let the authorities deal with it. Any questions?
Are you familiar with TDCJ? I know they're possibly familiar with Jose Diaz, another escaped inmate who was also on the run for 11 years. Now, he was convicted of murder the same year as Lopez. I wanted to know, is that possibly why we've seen TDCJ maybe change strategy and new efforts, because he hasn't been caught yet, and we're hoping that it's not a repeat of that, possibly?
We're doing everything we can to get Lopez in custody. Obviously, we look back at previous cases where we've done investigations, we've done searches for an escaped inmate. So anything that's been done in the past, we always review what was done to make sure that what we're doing this time follows the proper protocol and that we can do what we can to get him in custody as quickly as possible. We always review things from the past. Every case is different. Every situation is different, but there might be something from the past time that we can learn and use it this time as well. So that's what's going on.
Now, he was just recently added.
Hey, hold on a minute. Hold on.
Just kind of the PRHD news. So, some people in the community, they are curious about how much this is actually costing, as far as the investigation is going on. Like, how much is this costing not only the agencies, but the other TDCJ as well?
I'll have to look into that and get back to you.
Now, Diaz, he was also just added to the...
Wait, hold on.
Now, Diaz, he was also just added to the 15 Most Wanted Fugitives List by TDCJ. Could we possibly see Lopez being added to that list, or at what point would we consider him to be a fugitive?
I believe Lopez is already on that list. I believe Lopez is already on the 10 Most Wanted list in Texas. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, because I wasn't. Able to see Lopez on the list.
I believe he's already on there. I'll check on that for you.
Just a clarification for viewers, how many days exactly officially is it that the hunt has been going on?
This now makes the 8th day. It was Thursday a week ago.
Guys, sometimes I stop the video when I'm speaking so that I can speak over what he's saying. Yeah, I may have forgot to put myself back on the screen. Brilliant. But that's what happens when you're the host, the producer, the director, everything all at once. I'm not complaining, but there's a lot of, it's like walking and chewing gum at the same time. It can be difficult.
So if you count, this would be the 8th day.
Wait, I want to clarify that. I think it would be 9, because Thursday,
if you're counting 20,
that would be 7, but then it would be 8 yesterday, so today would kind of be 9.
Yeah, if you're counting 24 hours, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what a day is, 24 hours.
What would you give to people that claim the reward amount is somewhat low, given that Diaz, the other murderer, his reward was at $5K and then only raised to $25K and is still there. Also, in the midst of everyday costs rising like gas and food, what motivation would you give them with the bond, with the reward so low?
The reward money is coming from the different agencies that are involved in this. That would be something that whoever's asking that question would, and I see you're looking at your phone there. I take it that's a Facebook question. you know, that's going to be something that would have to be addressed by the different agencies that are involved. It's $50,000 right now. That's still a lot of money. So $50,000 for any information that's going to lead to his arrest and conviction, that's still a lot of money. So, all right, that's what I've got for you.
Someone just asked me, Bob Cosmic, Bill Cannon, which precinct did you work out of? My last 10 years, I was in Manhattan North Homicide Task Force, which works out of 13 precincts in Manhattan North. Prior to that, I was the commanding officer of the 2-3 precinct robbery unit out of the 2-3. Prior to that, I was in the 2-4 on the west side. And I was the commanding officer of the robbery unit. Prior to that, I was the anti-crime sergeant in the 2-4, and that's where I worked my last approximately 20 years on the police department. So, folks, this is interesting. I just wanted to play this Robert Hurst guy because it seems like he's been the voice of the Department of Corrections and telling us what's going to happen, what has happened, what's going on with the search, and a lot of the information many of us weren't that thrilled with, to tell you the truth. You know, living on the road, my friend, is going to make me free and clean. Now you wear your skin like iron, your breath is hard as kerosene. You want your mama's only boy, but a favorite one it seemed. You made her cry when you said goodbye and sank into your dreams. Pancho and Lefty, but this is Gonzalo, not Pancho and Lefty. I just couldn't help it. I had to sing a few lines of that, for you guys. This is great. Phil Leo, Robert Hurst should marry Jen Psaki, all doublespeak, no relevant info or transparent answers to legitimate questions surrounding a vicious escaped felon. Let's hope no innocents get killed over this. Yes, Phil Leo, you hit that on the head. I think that's pretty funny. You're 100% right. Let me play a little of this, and we'll share the screen with these reporters. Just little different point of view and perspectives on this case. And let's put a little bit of this on.
Of him. Our Matt Doherty drove through parts of the search area that were reopened today. He's outside Centerville tonight with the story. Matt?
We're outside of a little church off Highway 7 until about 3 o'clock this afternoon. It was part of the search area, cut off to the public. About half a mile up the road, though, the manhunt continues.
The exhaustive search, we've come to the conclusion that he's most likely not here.
Robert Hurst says there's no telling.
I love that. We come to the conclusion that it's most likely not here because we haven't found him, that's for sure. So we're going to go outside that perimeter that we've been swearing that he's in.
Where the inmate could be.
It's anybody's guess right now. But again, we've got some good intelligence. They'll be looking into that.
This afternoon, the TDCJ director and others made the decision to narrow the focus of its search in Leon County. Hundreds of corrections officers were allowed to return to their regular assignments. As we drove along the serpentine paths of the reopened county roads, we could see that it wouldn't be hard for someone to get lost here among the trees, vines, and thick brush that covers thousands of acres here. Gonzalo Lopez broke free from his prison shackles on the inmate transport bus more than a week ago. He managed to cut through a metal partition and stab the correctional officer driving the bus and was even able to drive it himself for a minute. The back tires were blown out by the other officer with a shotgun, causing the bus to drop and veer off the road. This divot scraped into the asphalt was made by the tailpipe of the bus. After that, Lopez ran off into the woods. We asked TDCJ if we could see pictures of the interior of a similar Texas prison transport bus, but were told we could not. Tonight, the remaining law enforcement officers that are still here are arranged in a similar pattern to what we saw last night. Armed and alert, a few dozen still keep watch, waiting to see if he'll come out of the woods. In Leon County, I'm Matt Doherty, KHOU 11 News.
Why would they not let them see the interior of a similar bus to the bus that was used to transport him? I question it. Why not? Why did they not let them see that? Because that's all part of the investigation, and they should have allowed the media to see that. In fact, they should share a lot more with the media than they have been, because we've gone over this ad nauseum. The eyes and ears of the public is what's going to catch this guy, not, a bunch of correction officers and police officers doing their job but lined up across the road television is able to get out there to millions of people. This guy could be in another country. People could have seen him already, but guess what? They didn't see his picture on social media. They didn't see his picture on television. So they don't know that he's one of America's and Texas's most wanted. We need to get that information out there. And right now it seems like it's being, DJ Moore, I was thinking the same exact thing, but I didn't want to say it. Why would you, when you're back to the place of cover, half those guys look like they were sacked out. I didn't want to say it, but you said it for me, DJ Moore. You're 100% right. Rocky Ozzy, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. You know, folks, I'm trying to cover this case as well as possible, but the information comes out in sort of dribs and drabs, and it's not coming out in any specificity, and it's not coming out because there's the investigative part of it they haven't revealed anything. Ralph Copley, thank you so much for joining our YouTube family and joining the Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories family. I really appreciate that. So the information is sort of just coming out in dribs and drabs. And someone just said that, Robin Hurst is just saying what he's told to say. Yeah, that's true. That is true. However, he could maybe be a little more skillful in his delivery so that we and the public believes what he's saying. But it's almost like, as I said earlier, he sounds like that guy Baghdad Bob during the Iraqi war, that he's not coming across as very truthful. Ricky Torres, why would he come out of the woods? Well, because maybe he thinks that 9 days, the 10th day has gone by and he hasn't gotten caught. Maybe the coast is clear. He's not seeing law enforcement. Maybe he pops back out of the woods. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think he's far gone. He's far gone from this area. But, the law enforcement's given their orders on how they're expected to work this. Joe Moff, I think this escape belonged to a motion movie. Once he's captured and they find out all the ins and outs, there'll be a book or movie made. You have to say this is an incredible escape. Well, we don't know that yet. We don't know who helped him yet. We don't know the investigative part of this, which I keep stressing. Nothing about the investigation has been put out there yet. So how do we know this was, I spoke about the escape from Dannemora in New York City. I think it was in 2017. And the governor of New York at the time, days after, came out praising this two escapees. Just, this is like a movie. And then he found out a day or two later that they had help. And someone in the prison, in fact, helped them escape. So everything he said made him look foolish. So I think people should hold on to saying, this is brilliant. This should be a movie. We don't know how he escaped yet. The information is not out there. So to praise this guy and act like he's, he's Harry Houdini, I think we better hold that off until we find out a little bit more about the investigation of this. And then we can appoint him and anoint him Harry Houdini, but not
Mexican
right now.
mafia, this prison gang.
Thank you very much for having me. Well, this prison gang, Mexican mafia, it's been in the U.S. and it's a U.S.-born gang, but with strong ties to Mexican cartels or Mexican criminal organizations. The Mexican mafia has been behind links with cartels like Los Zetas, now disappeared, and Cartel del Golfo, now operating in the area of Laredo and Nuevo Laredo, Texas.
How dangerous are they?
Well, they are completely ruthless. We're talking about like maybe the most dangerous cartel in Mexico right now. They are responsible for many killings. They're responsible even for attacking U.S. federal officers in the Mexican side of the border. They are responsible as well. I don't know if you recall, the 72 migrants were killed in Mexico, northern Mexico. That's what we're dealing here with that specifically criminal organization.
So this inmate escaped in Centerville, which is between Dallas and Houston. How prevalent is this Mexican mafia in that area of Texas?
It's really strong, but I think if Gonzalo is trying to go south, I think he'll be looking at a bigger protection if he's part of Mexican mafia, because Mexican mafia has a lot of presence in areas like Laredo, El Paso, all that border area of Texas and Mexico. So let's say if he tries to run towards Mexico, will be really hard to actually get him, because I'm pretty sure that he has ties to some of the criminal organizations that are going to actually protect him once he gets to the border.
So do you think that he's still in that area, or do you think he's long gone?
What I will say, I'm pretty sure that he's gone from the area and he's heading south. I mean, that's the usual in these cases. When inmates that manage to escape, they immediately go south. And in this particular case, him being part of a Mexican mafia gang with ties to the Mexican criminal organizations, I wouldn't really be surprised if he is trying to get across the border into Mexico.
What more can you tell us, Luis, about this 2004 incident where Lopez ran away from police and he stayed hidden with the help of some cartels? Was that the same cartel that we're talking about now?
Yes, that's the same cartel. It was originally reported as La Maña, but La Maña is just a way to say mafia or cartel in that specific region of Mexico, which is Nuevo Laredo, Monterrey, Nuevo León area. So he was reported as being part of La Maña, but that's how they say cartel. But his ties were with Los Zetas. He was pretty active before 2005. And in those years, Los Zetas were ruling basically the whole states of Nuevo León and places like Tamaulipas.
You know, folks, based on what he's saying, look, he has very heavy ties into the Mexican mafia. I have no doubt this was planned, from the prison into the outside the walls of the prison. The Mexican mafia probably picked him up at a predetermined route, and he's out of here. He's gone. And I think that, again, and at the risk of being redundant, the investigation will give us the answers to this, but we're not hearing anything about the investigation. The investigation is the most important part of this right now, because the prison is in the wind. He fled to parts unknown, as NYPD transit cops used to say years ago. The perp fled to parts unknown. So it's like, that is the part where we really need transparency. And the Department of Corrections wouldn't allow the press to look at one of their buses, not the bus either, a similar bus. They're not being very transparent, they're not being very transparent at all. Jeffrey Crowley, I agree, Bill, on both counts. Thank you. I always like to have some support when I give my opinions, which that's great though. Thank you so much. Tennessee girl, Bill, they're probably not even, they have to be investigating. You can't let this go without, you just, like Bob Hurst just declared the two correction officers heroes without any investigation. I would love to see that happen on the NYPD. It would never happen, because they do a thorough investigation before they're going to declare anyone a hero. But for some reason, the minister of misinformation, as I call him, is declaring them right away a hero. And I have a problem with that.
As well, and specifically the border with the U.S., because that's where they operated getting drugs across.
What more can you tell us about the situation at the border and how they would prepare for him to try and cross? Because right now we're hearing they're zeroing in on sort of a 10 square mile radius, but they have to be prepared that he may try to get into Mexico.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I think it's going to be crucial to have vigilance on southbound, going south, going east.
Iris Hewlett, what transparency would look like is to let us know what some of the results are of the investigations. And I said this yesterday. There was 15 inmates on that bus besides Gonzalo Lopez. What are the results of the interviews with those 15 inmates? Tell me that. Tell me that. I would love to know that, but they're not doing that. So that would be part one of transparency.
Into Mexico, because I don't know if he's gonna hide for a while. He's gonna hide for maybe days, so he can advance slowly into Mexico, because I will say that will be his options, his first options. He's escaping life, and I'm guessing he's not gonna want to stay in the U.S., especially with what he did now. So,
Jonathan Booth, thanks for putting this in the chat. Texas correctional officer training only, 240 hours, starting salary, 41,674. Pathetic salary, pathetic, right? Can you fight corruption and pay someone that amount of money? I don't know. DJ Moore, those buses are basically a school bus, caged and security added. I've seen them on the highways, and other than the caged area for the driver and bars on the windows, it looks like a school bus. Yeah, it's exactly.
The most obvious is that he's gonna go and look for protection with a criminal organization in Mexico.
Well, after his escape, he was added to the state's Most Wanted list. He is a dangerous fugitive with a very, very dangerous and violent past. Share with people at home what he's done that has people so worried that he is out there on the loose.
Well, he was part of one of the most ruthless organizations. He's responsible for killings, and especially I think Gonzalo is specifically dangerous because he's looking at we're looking at someone who was already convicted for life, so he's not really, he doesn't have any more to lose, like basically that's he's killed before.
Infamous truth teller. I mentioned this before when we played the video of Melanie Tipperman, of her son taking the video of Gonzalo Lopez running across the field, and the officer from that small town didn't even have his gun belt on. I found that particularly egregious, and maybe we'll find out that should be part of the investigation too. Why weren't you wearing your gun? Isn't that part of your uniform? I mean, how do you do the job of police officer and you don't have your gun on? Crazy, right?
He's kidnapped before. He was actually convicted for murder for $4,000 drug debt in 2005, if I'm not mistaken, of a woman, actually. So we're talking about a pretty violent person, well connected into the criminal world, and with a long career of being a criminal.
Right. He is serving 2 life sentences in 2006 for capital murder, attempted capital murder. A lot of people in the area, especially around Centerville, pretty nervous tonight with this guy on the loose.
So, folks, again, today I really wanted to discuss this case with you guys because there's not a lot of great new information. However, we can read into this case through omission. Why are they omitting things? Why are we not being told about certain aspects of the investigation, which would maybe put us a little more at ease if we were told certain things? Because I think we're all expecting this to come back as, yes, this was an inside job and this is what we found out. But so far, we're not hearing that. Joe Murray, if you're looking for an attorney in the New York City metropolitan area, Joe Murray is your man. He's a retired NYPD police officer, and he's one of the finest defense attorneys in New York City. You can reach Joe at his cell phone, 718-514-3855, or you can email him at joe@jmurray-law.com. His website is jmurray-law.com. Again, Joe Murray Law, one of the finest defense attorneys in the New York City metropolitan area. Joe Murray. John Beatty Law, www.jbeattylaw.com. John Beatty is a renowned personal injury attorney. He's also retired as a decorated NYPD sergeant. John comes from a proud NYPD and FDNY family. He was an active sergeant in Brooklyn North and supervised in the legal bureau. John is a proud member of the Honor Legion and the Blue Knights. John Beatty litigates across the country for seriously injured victims and has helped recover over $200 million for grieving families. Call John now for a free consultation. John Beatty, 917-797-9520. So, guys, we're going to stay with this case. We're hoping that there'll be more information coming out that we can report to you. We hope that there's a sighting of him or more information. Again, we need to use the media. Play the media. Use the media like it's a violin. DJ Moore, I'm wondering about if the guards are quota hires. It might sound bad, but when they have to hire based on race or gender instead of qualifications, it might be easier to buy them. Vicky White. Well, one of the things, DJ Moore, is that you need to pay people. You want to get quality people, you need to pay them. When you're paying them $40,000 a year, it's somewhat easier to buy them. That's not a lot of money. Mac Carr, he's long gone and they're just going through the motions of looking for him. It's a sad situation. Let's hope not. Let's hope they find this guy. Everyone's saying he could be here. He could be. We have no real evidence that he's anywhere because they haven't spotted him in 10 days. So that's what it is. So, guys, thank you so much. Again, Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. If you're not subscribed, go on our YouTube. It's free. Hit the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. Ring that bell. And if you want to support us, we have a Patreon with 3 different levels. And if you want to join our YouTube family, there's 5 different levels, and you could be part of the Police Off the Cuff YouTube family. Folks, I want to thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. It's very, very much appreciated. All the support you guys give us. Jose Cardenas, thank you. London Girl, thank you. And of course, Richella and Peter Pranzo, thank you so much. Mickey Mantle, great to see you. Lisa Mounts, thank you, Bill. Thanks for being here. No, thank you guys for being here. Thank you so much. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And you're what's making Police Off the Cuff a success. And believe me, I don't take that lightly. Folks, have a great day. Stay out there and be safe.
One episode just ain't enough.